What if I told you there was a man who walked after death, who spoke after his own head was cut from his shoulders, who carried his severed head through a city, yet no one could stop him? They called him Denis, and he would not die, not in the way the world expected. This is a story of miracles, fear, and a defiance that still echoes through the streets of Paris. Walk with me as I take you on another journey through the eyes of history. Denis came to Gaul as a stranger, a quiet man at first, with nothing but a simple cloak and a message burning behind his eyes. He spoke of a God whose power could not be ignored, a God who demanded courage and faith. But the land was not kind to prophets. The old rulers, the priests of ancient ways, and those who clung to tradition saw him as a threat. Crowds began to gather wherever he went. People sick with illness or lost in despair came to him. He healed them, he spoke, and their fear dissolved. Therefore, the rulers grew anxious. If Denis could sway the hearts of the people, what else could he do? What kingdoms might fall? Whispers turned into warnings, warnings into threats. But Denis ignored them. He continued his preaching, moving from street to street, unafraid, smiling as if death itself could not touch him. One night, under a sky that seemed unusually dark, soldiers arrived. They came not as friends, but as executioners. Denis was seized while he was preaching, his hands bound, his eyes calm, yet burning with a fire that frightened even the most hardened warriors. They dragged him from the city through the silent streets to a hill outside Lutetia. This hill would later be known as Montmartre, the hill of the martyrs. There, they raised their swords. They mocked him, calling him a madman, a false prophet, a danger to the kingdom. Denis did not answer. He looked at them as though he saw far beyond their swords, beyond their fear, into a truth that only he could know. Therefore, the first blow fell. The sword struck, and his head was severed from his body. The soldiers stepped back, certain their work was done, certain that the man would die like any mortal. But Denis did not collapse. He lifted his own head in his hands, his eyes still blazing, his lips forming words no one could fully understand, but words that carried power. And he began to walk. The soldiers froze. The villagers who had witnessed this terror ran screaming, yet some, drawn by awe, could not turn away. They say Denis walked nearly 6 miles, carrying his head, speaking to people along the way, giving them comforts, blessing the land, and inspiring faith in ways that shook the soldiers to their core. With every step, miracles followed. Springs of water erupted from the ground. The sick and the lame found healing. Flowers bloomed where his feet touched the earth. Therefore, what should have been a gruesome execution became a demonstration of a power no one could oppose. A power that refused to be contained by mortal hands. A power from on high. A power from the Most High God. Some accounts say that when he spoke, the very air seemed to tremble, and birds fell silent to listen. Every step was a challenge, every word a defiance of death itself. The soldiers who tried to stop him could only watch in helpless fear as Denis's legend began to unfold in real time. Denis walks on. He chose his path deliberately, guiding himself toward the place where he wished to rest. Some say he walked through forests where shadows seemed alive, through villages that whispered fearfully about the miracles, past fields where farmers abandoned work to stare at the impossible sight. Along the way, he continued to preach. His words, though half muffled by the severed head in his hands, carried a clarity that stunned those who heard them. "Have courage," he said. "Faith is stronger than death. The truth will not be silenced." Therefore, even those who doubted felt compelled to listen. Some followed him for miles, hoping to glimpse more of the miracle that defied all reason. When he reached the spot he had chosen, he fell. The earth received him as if it understood the holiness of the man who had defied death. People rushed to build a small shrine, laying flowers, lighting candles, and whispering prayers. And over time, the shrine grew, becoming the Basilica of Saint Denis, the spiritual heart of a city, a kingdom, and a faith. But the story did not end there. Even after his death, soldiers, kings, and skeptics came to test the power of Denis's legacy. They tried to destroy his followers, burn his churches, and discredit the miracles. Each attempt failed. Water flowed where it had not before. The sick were healed. Those who prayed at his tomb claimed visions. His legend, once forged in defiance of executioners, became unshakable. Denis's legend grew. Kings would later be buried in the Basilica of Saint Denis. The very heart of France became intertwined with the story of a man who could not be silenced by death. His miracles inspired art, devotion, and even fear. Fear of the impossible. Fear of what one man could accomplish when he carried divine purpose in his heart. Therefore, Denis became more than a man. He became a symbol that courage can surpass even the finality of death, that faith can outlast tyranny, that some truths cannot be contained by swords, kings, or fear. Stories tell of people who visited his tomb and witnessed extraordinary events. Lamps that would not light themselves suddenly glowed. Illnesses disappeared. Pilgrims felt inexplicable warmth, as if Denis himself were present. And through it all, the city of Paris thrived, carrying the memory of the man who had walked, speaking words of hope even after being beheaded. But even now, centuries later, some claim the miracle is not finished. They say that if you wander the hills around Paris at night, when the fog is thick and the streets are silent, you can feel him walking. You can hear the whispers of a voice that refuses to be silenced, and you can sense that the story of Denis of Paris is still alive, still challenging us, still inspiring us, and still daring the impossible. Denis the preacher, who carried his own head, reminds us that some stories are too strange, too powerful, and too fearless to ever fade away. So, when you think of courage, remember this: one man faced death, refused to stay dead, and walked through history itself, and somewhere beyond time, he still walks, still speaking, still daring the world to defy the impossible. Thank you guys for watching. Do well to like, comment, subscribe, and walk with me again through the eyes of history.